Before I actually begin this video, I want to tell you a little disclaimer. And it is that, first of all, I have never been a big reader in my life up until like recently, but even then I don't consider myself a big reader, but I do read every day for at least like an hour. However, if you've watched my previous videos, you know that this is a movie channel. I studied film in college and I've loved movies ever since I can remember. But lately, like I mentioned before, I've been reading a lot more, and I wanted to talk about the book that got me back into reading. I guess you should also know that I've had like reading phases here and there. For example, when I was like, I don't know, 15 years old, I actually got into reading for like, I don't know, a couple months because I really like the Hunger Games. And those books were such page turners, and in retrospective, I don't think they're that good, but they got me into reading for a little bit, and I really like them because of that. But after that, I struggled to find another book that I actually wanted to read, and like I said, I've loved movies my entire life, so I spend a very good portion of my time just watching movies and TV. So anyways, I started reading again after high school because I took a year off before college, and I actually started reading quite a bit, but again, after I moved to Canada to study film, I kind of got really busy, so I stopped reading for, I don't know, like 2 years maybe. But again, I had another reading phase after I finished college and I had more free time, so I got back into reading by reading Harry Potter. But then I got very sad because I just wanted to keep reading more Harry Potter stories, but I refused to read The Cursed Child. So I was just too sad to pick up another book, and I stopped reading yet again. And then I had another extended period of me not reading. But then I started watching this YouTuber that talked about books. And then one day I watched a video of him saying that if you want to start reading fantasy, he really recommends reading MISTBORN. And I was like, you know what? I do like fantasy, and I think that I would like to get into reading again. So I bought it. Here it is. And then I read the first couple of chapters and I just got hooked. That happened last June, I think. So it's been like 7 months since I started reading again, and I've always had a book ever since I started reading again back then. And today I'm going to talk to you about why I think you should read MISTBORN. And this book starts 1,000 years after the bad guy won. He's got incredible powers, he's pretty much immortal, and he's pretty much ruled the whole world for that 1,000 years. And in this world, there's mistings, which are people that can burn a specific kind of metal, and that gives them powers. And there's also MISTBORN, which are people that can burn all types of metals. And if you don't understand this, it's fine, I don't want to explain it too much. They put like pieces of metal in like a little vial with alcohol, I think, and then they drink it, and then they somehow metabolize it or burn it. That's how they say it. And then a group of thieves decides they have enough of this bad guy, and they decide to try to overthrow the Lord Ruler. That's what they call him. And yeah, there are a bunch of mistings, and there's 2 MISTBORN in this crew. And yeah, they try to take down this pretty much godlike figure that has been ruling for 1,000 years, and it's very interesting. Okay, so finally, with all of that backstory, the plot out of the way, I'm going to tell you exactly why I think you should start reading MISTBORN. First of all, I think it's a very refreshing story. Like I mentioned before, the plot is about the bad guy winning and pretty much ruling as a god, and I just feel like you don't see stories like that. So this different story, this kind of twist, is very cool and refreshing in my opinion. And yeah, I don't want to talk too much into detail about the story and the plot, because I feel like the less you know about this book, the better. There's so many twists and really interesting plot points, and especially the world building. I feel like the world building in this series is just brilliant. It's so complex, and like I said, I don't read too much, but I obviously watch a lot of movies. I've read quite a few books. I know that it sounds like I've only read 3 books, but no, I've read like a lot more. But yeah, in my humble opinion, I think that MISTBORN just has such an amazing level of world building. And I also really appreciated that after reading the 7 Harry Potter books, I got to this one, which has a hard magic system, which I did not know what it was when I first started reading it. But yeah, I really appreciated that there's set rules that people just can't break here. It's not like in Harry Potter, because one of my biggest criticisms with Harry Potter is that I feel like J.K. Rowling didn't really plan as much of the story and the plot and the world building as she should have, because like here and there reading the books you really start finding plot holes or like things that don't really make sense, and that's not really here because Brandon Sanderson, the author of this book, actually wrote all 3 books of this trilogy before they actually got published, which in my opinion was a really good idea, because this world feels so real in my opinion because it's just so well planned. And now that I mentioned Brandon Sanderson, I really want to praise his writing style because it's so accessible. It's not very flowery, so if you didn't like, for example, reading too many songs and really kind of like a old style of writing in, let's say, Lord of the Rings, you're really gonna like this book because it's very fast-paced. It goes to the point, and it's not like he writes really plain. I actually think that he's got really cool action scenes and he's got really beautiful descriptions, but Brandon Sanderson just goes to the point, and he's a brilliant person at creating plots. I also really recommend this book because if you didn't like it at the end, the first book is very self-contained, and if you just want to move on, you're going to actually feel satisfied with the story because it wraps up pretty neatly. But if you liked it, you're going to absolutely love the sequels. I think that every book got better, and the ending of the trilogy is just so perfect. It's so insane. It's very satisfying, and there's many mysteries that definitely have great payoffs, not just in the first and second book but also in the third book, which is also something that I really appreciate about Brandon Sanderson because he just has so many mysteries, and it's so satisfying to be wondering for like, I don't know, almost a whole book and then realizing, okay, so this is what happened and this is what it all meant. I also just realized that I haven't even talked about the characters, which are all so good. They're so likable. There's one issue that I have with them, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But overall, I think that the characters are so well written. They're so likable. I just love to see them interact with each other, and it's just so nice to read it. But finally, the last and biggest reason in my opinion on why you should start reading Mistborn is that you're probably going to want more, and you're probably going to start reading this, which is the Stormlight Archive. And when I finished reading Mistborn, which is the first trilogy, I think Brandon Sanderson wants to make 3 trilogies, and 3 or 4, I don't remember well. But anyways, I started reading the Stormlight Archive as soon as I finished the first trilogy of Mistborn, and I absolutely adore this series. Right now I'm on the 3rd book, and I love everything. And when I finished reading Mistborn, they were my favorite fantasy books, but that only lasted like a week, because right after I finished Mistborn I started reading the Stormlight Archive, which is like the best Brandon Sanderson series. And yeah, I love the Stormlight Archive like 10 times more than Mistborn. Not that I don't love Mistborn, I really do, and that's what I recommend to everyone that wants to start reading fantasy, even though I've only read like 8 fantasy books, which is not a lot. But anyways, in my humble opinion, Stormlight Archive is just brilliant. It's better than Mistborn in every single way. But anyways, I'm not going to be talking too much about these books because I feel like that should be another video. So now I'm going to be talking about 2 things that I didn't like about Mistborn, which is not a lot, and it's just like not important at all. The first thing that I didn't love is that at the beginning of the first book, I feel like Mistborn was kind of YA, and I got nothing against it. It's just not my style, not my cup of tea. But I quickly got over that because it's such an amazing story, and I absolutely love Mistborn. And the other thing that I didn't really like about Mistborn is that there's like 2 characters, I think, that are kind of silly. But I'm not talking about childish characters. It's just like silly characters. I don't know how to explain it. So yeah, Mistborn was the book that got me back into reading, and I love it because it's not only a great story, but it also got me into my new favorite series of books, and I think that you should give it a try if you haven't. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will see you next time, most likely with a movie review or something like that.